There's 104 days of summer vacation, but I wasn't outside playing with my friends. I was inside watching perhaps the greatest Disney Channel show of all time, Phineas and Ferb. I love this show so much. I looked forward to every new episode, every crazy invention the boys had, every busting plot with Candace, and every childhood flashback-inspired innate or Doofenshmirtz would come up with. But what was it that made this show so addictive? What was it that set it apart from the others? What was it that inspired me to make a video essay about how it's the greatest show ever made? Phineas and Ferb managed to get done in a day what most of us couldn't get done in a lifetime, and likewise, the show packed in a ton of different things without feeling overwhelming. And why is that? Well, the secret may not be as catchy as squirrels in my pants, but it was just as impactful. Phineas and Ferb was a non-serialized show. That is, there's no through line through each episode evolving throughout the series. You could pick up the show at any point and you'd be fine. You'd understand what was going on. You wouldn't need any prior knowledge other than what they've given you. That means that it didn't matter if you hadn't seen any episodes before. Perhaps you'd watched behind your friends, maybe a couple snippets, or perhaps you're the biggest fan of all time, you'd understand what was going on. The show also took a very simple structure. Phineas and Ferb would get an idea that only a kid could imagine. Think the world's biggest, baddest roller coaster. Think turning your mom's car into a flying car. But rather than shoving down that imagination and killing that creative spirit that I guess we all learned to do when we were growing up, they'd go and actually build the thing they imagined. So of course, most of the stuff that they built wasn't very safe, but in Danville, the only thing that really matters isn't permits and licenses, it's really only this.
Aren't you a little young to be a roller coaster engineer?
Yes I am.
Well, I must say I'm very impressed.
But there was someone who, no matter the permits or licenses they got, was always going to be the boys' biggest op. You see, it was their big sister Candace's life goal to bust her brothers to her mom. While we're on the subject of their mom, by the way, look at that woman. Candace, step out of the way. I'll handle the busting. While all this was going on, there was a great danger to the city of Danville. You see, local evil scientist Dr. Doofenshmirtz was always up to some crazy evil plan that rivaled the boys' creativity in creativity. And he would always have some childhood trauma that inspired his crazy plans.
It all began on the day of my actual birth. Both of my parents failed to show up.
And he would seek to inflict that pain that he felt as a kid onto the city of Danville. This was everything from
Behold, the Acceleratonator!
To
the aerosol-propelled ozone depletinator!
Wait a minute. Doof, no. And I would explain what these things do, but come on. I can't imagine reading comprehension is that bad yet. And he achieved all this from the tallest building in the Danville skyline.
Doofenshmirtz Evil Incorporated.
I love that jingle. These evil plans were always thwarted, however, by Doofenshmirtz's #1 nemesis, Perry the Platypus. You see, Perry the Platypus lives a secret double life. One, working as a secret agency for a secret agency that only implies animals. I can't believe PETA never got mad at this show. It feels like an easy dunk to go after Major Monogram, who ran this agency. He's probably on a list with like Michael Vick and Santa Claus. And the other half of his double life was as Phineas and Ferb's pet platypus. He's a platypus. Platypuses don't do much. So while Perry was thwarting Doofenshmirtz's plan, Candace was thwarting the boys' plan. The boys were coming up with some crazy invention, so was Doof. Their mom was none the wiser. The city of Danville was none the wiser. Typically, these storylines did coincide a little bit. How Perry would thwart Doofenshmirtz's plan, would somehow get rid of all the stuff that Phineas and Ferb built, leaving their mom none the wiser of all the things they got up to that day.
See, Mom? I told you they weren't there.
Oh, hi, boys.
Hi, Mom.
Come on, Candace, help me with the groceries. Let's go.
And look, I know if you're watching this video, you probably didn't need me to explain all that, but I also get an inkling that it didn't bother you much. It was simple, formulaic, familiar. You got the same information from every single episode of Phineas and Ferb, and somehow it didn't feel repetitive. It never bothered us, because even though the show's structure was formulaic, simple, predictable, the content of each episode couldn't be more different from the next. There was never a time watching Phineas and Ferb where I was like, they've already done this. Much like the boys' daily inventions, jumping from a time machine to building a flying car, each episode of the show managed to feel completely different from the one prior, even still following the same basic structure. From the very top of the show with the theme song, you do get a little summary of what the show is about, but it's so much more than that. The theme song has so much spirit. It shows all of the crazy inventions that the boys are gonna get up to. Giving a monkey a shower, fighting a mummy, inventing nanobots and time machines. All while not conforming to some corporate theme show copy-paste structure. The theme song was actually written by punk rock band Bowling for Soup, who is responsible for this banger. Speaking of songs, we're gonna have to get into this, so let's just roll a second title card. Every single episode of Phineas and Ferb had a totally original song in it, and none of them sound the same, but all of them, I repeat, all of them are absolute bangers. And I mean it. Most of the show's songs far surpassed pop music at the time. While pop had this,
Check my flow.
Phineas and Ferb had this.
S to the I to the M to the P.
If I had a nickel for every time I played Squirrels in My Pants in this video, I'd have 2 nickels.
Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
But it wasn't just pop. This show managed to breach out into all sorts of different genres. They took huge creative liberties on what sounds they were going to be putting into this 20-minute kids cartoon. You've got reggae beachy sounds like Backyard Beach.
A backyard beach, a backyard beach. Now things have to reach, we got the backyard beach.
Maybe you want a little heartthrob of pop music to get yourself a moving. With meaningless lyrics, of course. You want a raspy, grungy jazz solo? How about EVILBOYS?
Sing it with me! EVILBOYS!
Or maybe you want a little more funk in your jazz music.
Ain't got rhythm. No, I ain't got rhythm. Said I ain't got rhythm.
That song was Emmy nominated, by the way. And I'm sitting here praying that YouTube copyright doesn't strike these songs. So if I end up having to sing bits and pieces of this, I'm very sorry. For a lot of kids, the genre and styles of the songs in Phineas and Ferb were not genres and styles that they otherwise would have been exposed to. Unless you got some kid that's like, yeah, I listen to everything. You pop it on and and it sounds like this.
Everybody, EVILBOYS! That's what I'm talking about!
I dare you. I dare you to find a kid like that. Actually, I don't dare you. Don't go finding kids. Just like the show encouraged kids to be creative, to not kill their imaginative spirit, it did the exact same thing with the music of the show. It encouraged kids to explore all different types of music, to not be ashamed of listening to this or that, and actually just celebrate how good music can be. And it may seem like some quirky choice by the show's creative team, but this was a major animated show on Disney Channel. I'm sure it was quite the risk to branch out musically. I mean, there was a song in every episode. You think the mouse wasn't like, you wanna put a slow, raspy jazz song or power ballads into a 20-minute cartoon? That kind of move took a lot of guts. It also took a lot of creativity and imagination, and it's part of what made the show so awesome. But it wasn't just the music. The show also did like to break away from the structure a little bit, but in fun little different ways. For instance, Candace every episode tends to just be busting her brothers. That's all she has to do for the day. But what if her brothers aren't up to anything? What if they're taking a vacation? What does Candace do?
Remember when you used to have this much fun? All this fun could be yours too. All you have to do is join me. Okay, I don't want to brag, but fun loves me more than it loves you right now.
I guess the Fletchers just have some crazy carpentry gene and welding and designing, and if these characters actually existed, I fully believe the federal government would seize these kids and experiment on them, or make them build bombs. Or what if Candace was successful in revealing to her mom all the crazy stuff the boys had built? What then? Well, if you guessed that they'd be sent to a military-style camp for reforming the young creative mind of today's youth to not think for themselves and become lifeless drones, and this would make Candace spiral, realizing that she misses them, which motivates her to go and jailbreak them out by disguising herself as a local reporter, only to find out that this is some giant fever dream when her high school crush, oh yeah, she has a high school crush on Mitchell Musso, admits that he loves her, and then a unicorn appears who thinks her name is Kevin?
I'm just as confused as you are, Kevin.
Yeah, you'd have nailed it. The show also liked to add in random miscellaneous factoids like what an aglet is.
ATL.
Yeah, you know they taught us that through a song. Before watching this show, I didn't even think that the end of my shoelace had a name. It was inconspicuous. But after watching the show, every time I tie my shoes, I go, this is an aglet. Or randomly throughout the day, I'll be humming the song, and randomly people will use the word aglet in a sentence, and we both look at each other and we kind of do a little nod. We're like, Phineas and Ferb, nice. Or maybe it's just a thing where, like, when you learn something, you start hearing it everywhere. I don't know. I choose to believe that Phineas and Ferb, like, brought back aglet culture. They also taught me who the band Meatloaf is. Pretty talented guys. Phineas and Ferb really was so much better than it had any right to be. It was better, more fun, and more creative than most any show I had seen, especially on Disney Channel and Nickelodeon and the like. And it managed to accomplish that in a 30-minute time slot. Well, it was a 20-minute time slot. You know that Disney Channel had to put like 10 minutes worth of ads in front of their childhood audience who are impressionable so that they could beg their parents to spend all their hard-earned money on things that they really didn't need, like the Betty Crocker bacon fill.
Introducing the Betty Crocker Bacon Fill, a delightful new pan that lets you prepare a cake with all kinds of delicious filling.
You know, I actually bought one of those. It was fine.
Oh yeah.
It was cool. I also realized writing this that I could make this video like 4 hours long, but long format videos really aren't my style, and I'm also not that schizophrenic. I haven't even talked about all the fun side characters that this show has. Like, did you know Doofenshmirtz has a daughter named Vanessa who has a little bit of a thing for my boy Ferb? You know, look at my boy, dude. You know he gets it. Or their grandparents, who are absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And how could I forget their core group of friends, Isabella, Buford, and Baljeet? Okay, maybe I'll talk about them a little bit. Okay, so Vanessa is like independent and fierce, and she has a little crush on Phineas. It's like a will they, won't they situation.
It locks onto the cutest thing in the area, so it should lead us right to Meep. Let's see if we can get a signal. Got something?
Oh, that's probably me. Sorry.
No, it's 3 miles in that direction.
Baljeet is a nerdy, quip-filled dork, and Buford is the guy that bullies Baljeet for being a nerdy, quip-filled dork.
You know, saliva is 98% water, and the other 2% is made up of very beneficial electrolytes. It is gross, but it is science.
You're lucky the gross factor outweighs the science factor, or you'd have a one-way ticket to Wedgie Town.
And here's the thing, most, if not all the stuff I've talked about in this video isn't over the course of the whole series. No, most of it was from just the first season. The gang would go on to do things like teaming up with the Avengers, saving the world after finding out Perry was a secret agent, or build an entire solar system just to race planets. And the show actually just got renewed, so there's even more adventures still on the way. Despite all the craziness that makes up this show, this has been one of the easiest videos I've ever had to write because Phineas and Ferb just went. With the show's renewal this summer, I say this summer, it might have already come out by now, the Disney Channel Animation channel on YouTube has been live streaming the entire first season 24/7. That's actually what's going on right here. It popped up on my feed a couple of weeks ago, so me and my girlfriend were like, oh, let's try this out again, and we have been hooked. It's actually what inspired me to make this video. As I've reached the ancient age of 27, I've started to have that awful experience you get when you get really, really old, where you watch things you used to like when you were younger, and it turns out they were just bad. Or not actually just not bad, but just they're not made for an adult consumer. The audience most shows on Disney and Nickelodeon shoot for is people still in the education system. But rewatching this show wasn't like those experiences. I actually think I find the show even better now than I did when I watched it as a kid. With this, it was equally as evident that this show wasn't some corporate slop that got put together by some writing room of people looking to get kids to buy things. No, the people making this show really loved making the show and wanted to make something unique and great. And that's evident from the very top of the show with the theme song to the very end of the show's end credit scene gag. And I think all of that is what actually separated this show from all of the slop I consumed as a kid or all the slop I still consume as an adult. I mean, you can only see the Avengers save the world like, I guess 4 times before you're like, yeah, dude, look, it's Iron Man. Look, he's saving the world. I mean, Phineas and Ferb managed to save the world and make it not boring. They also did it with the Avengers, crazily enough. The creators' passion and love for the show is evident in every single aspect of the show, which is extremely rare in a world where people make content for studios to buy them up so they can mass produce content, so that they can put ads on that content, so that people buy things so that they can go and buy more content and make more money. I've grown not excited for renewals and revivals of shows that I used to like for this very reason. A lot of the times they just miss the mark bringing back a property that we all know and love. For instance, another show around the same time that I used to love was on Nickelodeon, iCarly. Y'all remember iCarly? Well, Peacock did a remake of the show, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, it just sucked.
This is your moment to shine. You need to be a trailblazer.
Like an effortless trailblazer. Like I just got out of bed and was all, oops, I just blazed a trail.
I barely made it through the first episode before I was like, no matter how much I loved the show in the past, I am not gonna dedicate more time to whatever the heck this is.
Oops, I just blazed a trail.
And I don't want to knock the creatives behind the show. I'm sure there were some people, like the actors involved, that really wanted to bring back that thing, that spark that was super special that we all knew and loved. But it just felt like a cheap recreation, and I've become used to that in the world of capitalism, where we capitalize on nostalgia to just make more money. So I would be remiss to not talk about the creators of the show, Dan Povenmire and Jeff Marsh. They not only created and directed the show, they voice acted in it, they drew some of the scenes in it, they were involved in pretty much every part of the creative process. So if Dan and Jeff caught lightning in a bottle once, I feel like I kind of owe it to them to give this new revival a try. I want to clarify, I don't feel like I owe Disney anything. This is not some sponsored video about how you should check out for the new Phineas and Ferb revival. I don't even know when it is. I assume probably pretty soon. Whenever this stops going, I'll check it out. I don't feel like I owe Disney anything. If I owe them anything, I owe them an invoice for all the time that they stole from me, shoving like ads in front of me as a kid and harvesting data on what products I would like. How about that, Disney? Can I send you an invoice? Where do you want me to send it? But as a kid, I loved Phineas and Ferb, and I love it now as an adult. And if rewatching this show has rejuvenated some sort of that childlike creative spirit, enough at least to get me to post a video for the first time in like months, then yeah, I'm gonna check out the revival. But maybe that's just me. Let me know down in the comments if you're gonna be watching the revival. Let me know what your favorite episodes of Phineas and Ferb were. What was your favorite bit? What was your favorite song? Let's just talk Phineas and Ferb in the comments down below. Maybe this video will get a revival with the revival of the show. Or maybe the revival will suck just as much as 3 times. That's 3 nickels, Disney.